If any children are here, please make your way to the front. I would love to chat with you.
Hi, Dad.
Hi, Elijah. How you guys doing today? So, as Elijah mentioned, it is Father's Day. You guys got any big plans for your dads today?
Play with my dad in Minecraft.
You're having a party at your house? That sounds like fun.
I'm having Father's Day at my house.
You're having Father's Day at your house? I bet you're going to do it at her house, too. I know.
I'm gonna play Minecraft with my dad.
Minecraft with your dad. I'm going to not play Minecraft. Sorry, Shane. Does anybody know who the first person in the world to become a dad was? Elijah? Adam. Yes. And when Adam was created, Adam was perfect. When Adam's wife was created, she was perfect. They were created to be the perfect couple, and in turn, the perfect parents. Adam was created to be the perfect father. But what happened? They ate from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and with that, Adam and Eve became sinners. They brought sin into the world, and the whole idea of a perfect father was gone. And we don't hear much about Adam as a father. We hear about a couple of his sons. Remember who his sons were? Cain and Abel. And what happened with Cain and Abel?
Cain killed Abel and then he got sent somewhere else.
Cain killed Abel. And I know kids can grow up and do their own thing sometimes, but I can't help but think that if Cain and Abel had a perfect father, that wouldn't have happened. And if we look through the Bible, we can look at stories of fathers, and we'd see story after story of not really good fathers. In fact, I can't tell you a single story in the Bible that would describe a good father. Any of the people in the Bible are not described as a good father. We hear about Abraham, and because of Abraham's sin, he had to send his son Ishmael away. God made him send his son away. He could never see him again. And Abraham's son Isaac, his other son, he played favorites with his two kids, Jacob and Esau, to the point where Esau wanted to kill Jacob. And then Jacob, like father, like son, played favorites with his kids, Joseph. That was his favorite, and his brothers didn't like it, so they sold Joseph into slavery and told their dad, hey, he got killed by wild animals. And then there's King David. His own son wanted to kill him. Story after story after story of not very good fathers. And even today, you might have a really great dad, but do you have a perfect dad? One who never does anything wrong? No. It is windy up here. Sometimes dads can fail, and it can be really hard. And if we're being honest here, I have always hated Father's Day. And as far back as I can remember, it's been my least favorite day of the year. Why, you ask? Because Father's Day is a day to celebrate your fathers. And in all honesty, my dad was not someone I ever wanted to celebrate. When I was 3 or 4, my dad took off, and I didn't see him for about 6 years. And in that time, my mom and my sister and I, we moved a couple of times, but my mom always made sure to keep the same phone number so that my dad could call us if he wanted to, and he never did. And because I didn't know where he was. And when we moved, we had this thing called the phone book, which would totally blow your mind. They would bring this giant book to your house once a year, and you could open it up, and you could find anybody's phone number or address. And my mom always made sure our listing was there in case my dad wanted to look for us, and he never did. And I would go to church on Father's Day, and just like I did, my Sunday school teacher would say, hey, what are you guys doing with your dads today? Anything exciting? And I'd listen to all my friends talk about all the things they were going to do with their dads, and I'd just sit there thinking, man, I wish my dad even wanted to be with me, let alone being able to do something with him on Father's Day. Where's my notes here? Okay, yeah. And even when I did see him again, it wasn't because he made the effort. My mom made the effort, and she got us in touch with him. And I was really excited until I realized he didn't want me in his life. And one big one, I always wanted to go hunting. I wanted to go hunting. And I'd watch my cousins go hunting with their dads, and my friends go hunting with their dads. And my dad would go hunting, but he didn't want to take me hunting. And even today, my sons have asked me, Dad, can we go hunting? And I'd love to, but I can't because I have no idea what I'm doing. So 40 years later, my sons have to miss out because a man they've never met, a man who died before any of them were ever born, wasn't there for his son. And today I look at my sons and I think, I love these kids in a way I could not have imagined ever loving anybody. And yet I meant so little to the person who was supposed to love me that way. And it hurts. I'm 43 years old and I still struggle with this, and I struggle with it a lot. Having a sinner for a father can be hard on a kid. Actually, having a sinner for a father can be hard on adults. And let's be honest, nowadays Father's Day is more about how awesome Aiden, Elijah, and William's dad is, and less about my dad. But it's still hard because my dad was a sinner instead of the absolute perfect father that God intended when he created Adam. But everyone's a sinner, right? And if everyone's a sinner, then everyone's father is a sinner, right? And everyone's grandfather is a sinner, right? You are, Riley. And so on. But when I had my own kids, I started to think about it. I've never had a good example for a father. And I look to the Bible, I don't see anybody in the Bible that shares a good example of a father. I mean, we talk about Abraham, seems like a great man, but not a good story about him being a good father. And Isaac, Jacob, David, all sound like great men, but nothing in there about them being great fathers. What about Paul? He never even had any kids. So, but then the more I read the Bible, the more I realized not only is there a great example of a father, I have a perfect father. And Isaiah 64:8, it says, Lord, you are our father. And there's places all over the Bible where it refers to God as our father. And we've all heard that saying, God the Father, right? Have you ever thought about what it actually means? Well, it's time to think about it. Because when I always thought about it, I thought of God as the head of everything, so we call him Father. Nothing more than that. I never really thought of God the Father as God, my dad. But think about it. Does God give his children everything they want?
No.
Why not?
Because we only need the things we need, like eat and drink and stuff.
Well, those are needs.
Like video games. Also,
God has a better plan for us. Maybe he understands that what we want isn't necessarily the right thing. Does your dad give you everything you want? You said yes, and I know for a fact that's not true. So God doesn't give us everything we want, but does he give his children everything they need? What about your dad? Does your dad make sure you get everything that you need? Yeah. Does God ever allow his children to fail so that they can learn a lesson? Yeah. Maybe you want to do something you're not supposed to do, but God says, all right, I'll let you do it, but you're going to realize why I told you not to. I like to drive really fast. Faster than I'm supposed to. And more often than not, I'm driving down the road, and what happens? I look in my rearview mirror, and there's the red and blue flashing lights, and I get a speeding ticket. God says to obey those in authority over us, and part of that is following the rules on the road. And God says, you know what, Chris? I'm going to let you speed, but I'm going to teach you why you should have listened to me. And I get that reminder, like, yeah, you probably should have listened. Next Windy page. Does God ever discipline his children when they're disobedient? Like you get punished? Think about Jonah. God said, go to Nineveh, and Jonah said, no. And God said, yeah, you're going to Nineveh, but you're going to get a punishment first since you said no the first time, and then you're going to go to Nineveh. Jonah went. Think about it, though. Maybe your dad says clean your room, and you don't want to clean your room. And your dad says, well, you're either going to clean your room, or you're going to get a punishment, and then you're going to clean your room. Anybody's dad ever said anything like that? I know 3 kids whose dads said stuff like that a lot. And the most important one, does God love his children no matter what? What about your dad? Does your dad love you no matter what? Yeah. I know that your dad loves you no matter what. That is the model of a perfect father that we have in the Bible. Sadly, your dad is not perfect. Aiden, Elijah, William, your dad is not perfect. I have failed many times as a father, and I can promise you I'm going to fail many more times as a father. But kids, if your father is like that, your father is not giving you everything that you want, but making sure all your needs are met. Your father disciplines you with love. Your father loves you unconditionally. Your father is following the only example we have of a perfect father. And that's awesome. And I pray that each of you recognizes that and realizes how great it is to have that person as your father. And to end this, we're going to have you go back to your seats in a second here. But first, I want you all to stand up. If your dad is here, I want you to turn around and look towards your dad. You have a dad, he's just not here. So this part doesn't apply to you. So if your dad's here, turn around and look towards your dad. And actually, everybody out here, if your dad's here, stand up and look towards your dad. Thanks, Rick. All right, when I say go, I want you to run as fast as you can towards your dad. And some of you out there realize that you're a little bit older now and you may not be able to run as fast as you thought you could. But I want you to run towards your dad. I want you to give your dad the biggest hug you've ever given him. Tell him how much you love him. Tell him how thankful you are that of all the imperfect sinners in the world, you get him for a dad. And tell him Happy Father's Day. All ready? Go!